Yes, welcome to yet another episode of Bezos Chivozi. And first of all, I want to thank you for always tuning in to this podcast, always tuning in to all my episodes, seeing that you support the dream because each play matters, even in the beginning. And even when people are not listening, you've always been listening. So thank you very much. And yeah, today's episode is more on change, why changing your life creates enemies and why it's even okay, because sometimes you need some of those enemies so that you move further. Anyway, I want you to know one reality first before I continue any further in this episode. And that is that the people who don't like your growth are the people who have been benefiting from your stagnation. Be it that you want to change your habits, be it that you want to change your job, you want to change your life, you want to change your mindset for the better. At some point, you suddenly feel that you're the bad guy. And you only feel that you're the bad guy because the people that want you in stagnation are good at showing you that you're the bad guy. Where you may have expected support, you end up getting resistance, and even maybe the silent enemies. So in this episode, I want us to talk about it. Why does change feel like a crime even when it is the right thing? Why is it that when you start changing your life, there's some people you start to lose, some people that become your enemies? And yeah, this is that episode that you need to listen to bring that reality in your mind. This is Bezos Chivozi. So I will begin with why people fear change. In fact, everyone fears change, be it me, be it you who is listening to this, but the degree matters. For some people, they fear change because they are scared of how good they may be. For some people, they fear change because the familiar feels safe. Even if it is toxic, it is stagnant, it is unfulfilling, the familiar feels safe. And you can't blame yourself. I've already said it that the mind is tuned in the sense that it only comprehends things that is familiar to. Once something is new, the mind puts it as a difficult task, and so starts to break it down slowly. It becomes discomforting and all that. Because change demands discomfort, uncertainty, and sometimes even loss. So your brain is wired to repeat patterns, even if they are unhealthy. For it believes that repetition is survival, because the whole thing about human being is survival. Everything we do in our lives is connected to survival. We do all these things maybe to get some level of income, some level of recognition, some level of what, and all that. When you connect it back, it is in the sense of survival. So that's change. Change brings all that in the mind of someone, and that creates the fear of you moving forward, the fear of losing friends, the fear of everything. But we are breaking that barrier because as a dreamer and as the podcast and as everything, we are centered around growth and change. So where does it actually become a problem for others? Because that is the whole essence of this episode. Why does changing your life create enemies? You see, your evolution makes them confront their lack of growth. Have you ever been there and you start to compare yourself with some of your friends that you finished high school with or something? You're seeing good things happening to them, and so you you start to confront your lack of growth. So it becomes a problem when you are changing and the people around you are not changing, because your evolution is only making them confront their lack of growth. and it triggers in their mind that they are not surviving. And so they get jealous or they become your silent enemies. Some people may have loved the version that you were, that version where you're smaller, that version where you're very available, that version where you're mediocre. Some people may have liked that version. So if you start changing it to a more of a bold person, more of a go-getter, more what, it builds the insecurity in them. And so you become the villain in their story. Because you've changed the person that they know. You've become unfamiliar. The familiar has changed, so it feels unsafe for them. And just because of that, people may start calling you arrogant, they may start calling you distant, because the familiarity has been broken. You know, when you're going to change your life, there are some things that you bring in. You bring in setting of boundaries, you bring in change of behavior. You start to tell, personally, when I quit alcohol or when I quit any intoxications, I would sit somewhere and I tell people I don't drink. And it looked weird. And some people are like, that guy is joking, that guy is lying, that guy is showing off or something. Because it was no longer the familiar they knew, the familiar environment that they knew of me being someone that would join the fun, join the drinks and all that. The familiarity had gone away because I set a boundary and I chose to change and I chose to grow. Same with this podcast, same with all the other things in my life. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, but I mean, when you reach some level of growth, there's some people who are going to be jealous of you. There's some people who are going to make you the villain in their story. There's some people who are going to say, because that guy reached that side, that part of his life, he became arrogant, he became selfish, he became distant, he became a show-off, things of that sort. And if you're not careful as a person who is changing, who has grown, you may try to get back to accommodating these people so that they accept you again. And in the long run, you kill the change that you've made. So you need to know first that when you're going to change anything in your life, you're going to create an enemy, or you're going to create someone that doesn't like the change. Personally, even when change came to me in the best way possible, it always came with friction. But what I've learned over the years, over the time that I've been moving in a direction of change and growth, is that you would rather stay aligned than stay liked. You know, people may like you when you're not aligned, when you're not growing in your life. That is the paradox of many celebrities. You're being liked, you're happy being liked, but you're not making money. Why? You're not aligned. You're not in the right direction to make the money, because you're pleasing some people and it's costing you something. So that's the whole idea, that you need to know that when you're going to be a person that is going to change anything in your life, you're going to expect people to bring in the friction, people to not accept you the way they used to because of where you're going. And it is something that you need to know. So there are things you need to expect as you start to change. You're obviously going to expect the resistance. Be it that you're changing slowly, or you're changing for the good cause, or your what, there's always going to be resistance. Resistance internally, first of all, resistance externally, resistance with your most close people, family, what, all that. But once you break that barrier, that you're above thinking or taking the opinions of your family so close to your heart and you're following what your heart tells you or what your purpose is in life, then you break the barrier of the resistance in change. Then that will bring me to the other thing that you need to expect. You need to expect to redefine your loyalty. You see, there's some people that don't need an explanation in your life for the things that you're doing. They don't need that explanation. And in fact, people that need an explanation for your change for growth are the people that I talked about in the beginning. The people that want you stagnating. Those are the ones you need, that want you to explain why you're changing, why you're growing, why you're that. But people who do actually want you to grow, they will not require an explanation from you. So you need to remember that you're going to redefine your loyalties. You're going to redefine everything that comes with the change. Personally, right now, that I may have taken on is that, you see, be it the alcohol, be it the bad behaviors, be it I am loyal to the new life that I have chosen. Be it this podcast, I am loyal to making sure that every Monday there's an episode released. There's only one thing that maybe I may have not been really loyal to, that is posting on social media. But it's because of the nature of my work and all that. But actually, that's an excuse. I'm going to try to make sure that I do post on my socials to see that I've redefined that loyalty. So that's something you need to expect. The other thing you need to expect is being alone. Now, people fear being alone. But it is the biggest thing about change. You're going to be alone. You're going to move in that journey alone. You're going to see things alone. And so you need to have a strong heart. Choose that path, and that path will also choose you. It won't choose you with other people. It will choose you with you alone. So you're going to be alone for some time, and when the glory comes, you're going to celebrate it with many people. We also know that during the change, during the struggle, you're always alone. And when the struggle is hit better, is when the congratulations come, the many people come to help you. Yeah. So expect being alone. Then the other thing is that expect to rebuild everything. Be it the friends, be it the connections, the relationships that you had. Expect to build them afresh. There's something there in the Bible, I think in Luke somewhere, that you can't pour a new wine in old skins. And the whole idea is that you can't bring the change when you're still with the old systems, the old routines, the old relationships. You need to build everything afresh. Or you need to acclimatize everything to your new change. You need your friends to be able to accept you for the new you that you are. And remember that some need to be forfeited. Some relationships need to be left. Some relationships need to go, because you're going to make the enemies. Come what come may, you're going to make the enemies. Anyway, I think that is it for this episode. Some ideas may have jumped out of my head, but that's all the change. That's all the change I could talk about, and why you're going to make enemies, and why it's okay that you're going to make those enemies. So, without further ado, I want to say thank you for those that have already been listening. My very good supporters. Yeah, soon there'll be something for you. And I think that is it. That is it. I don't want to mumble more. I just want to say thank you and have a great Monday. Keep it at Bezos Chivozi. Until next Monday. See you soon.